after hit after hit after hit. The greatest number of top programs any network has ever had at any one given time. The man behind it all was Brandon Tartikoff, former head of NBC Entertainment and now the chairman of Paramount Studios. He's just written a book about it called The Last Great Ride. Brandon, good morning.
Morning, Stone, and thanks for not getting into the failure so early in the interview.
Well, we'll get there pretty quickly.
We had failure after failure after failure, too.
But, well, that's the business.
Yes.
You know, at age 31, you were the youngest person ever to be president of NBC Entertainment, and you kept the job for 12 years, which was longer than anybody else in television history. What do you think made you so successful?
Well, I wasn't always successful during the entire run of the job, and I think partially because I was so young when I got the job, that kind of youthful energy and ambition and just sort of not knowing how tough the job was going to be at the time I got it helped me persevere during the years that I had it.
And it started at an early age for you, this love of television. You talk about that in the book.
I did have a sort of fascination with the medium, and I remember when I was like 7 or 8 years old watching the old Dennis the Menace television show and complaining to my mother about how they had miscast Dennis with Jay North, and she sort of looked at me a little perplexed, saying, "I've got a strange kid."
Mm-hmm. You know, speaking of casting, you talk a little bit in the book about the Today Show and the importance of casting. Now, you know, Katie and Willard would hate to have me ask you to expound on that at all here on the show, but you know, what the heck?
Well, in the book, I talk about sort of the people relationship between the characters or the people that the viewers see on the tube and how they relate to them, to the people that they know. And everybody sort of is a character, and I think all of television watching is the forming of surrogate friendship. So you feel like Ted Danson on Cheers playing Sam Malone. You sort of have a take about both the character and the actor playing them. And with the Today Show, it is a family. It is a family show, and that, you know, there was a relationship between Brian and Katie. They're sort of friends. They work in the office together. I think many people who work have relationships that they can relate to what they seem to sense between Brian and Katie.
You know, what advice would you have for the 27-year-old executive producer of this particular broadcast? You know, as one wunderkind to another, Jeff Zucker.
Well, it's nice to know that that I don't have to go carrying around that title wunderkind into my 40s, that Jeff Zucker now has it, and I believe me, I take you know, incredible vicarious pleasure reading the articles about Jeff and the great turnaround he's had with the Today Show and his sort of sense of energy and savvy, including bumping me from this program yesterday when he had George Bush. I remember when I used to be the president. But anyway, my advice to Jeff is to you know, to sort of define for him himself the kind of career that he wants, and not to get tempted by what others may put in front of him just because he's hot right now.
You know, surviving for so long as you did at the top in this cutthroat world of television, network television, you know, sort of pales in comparison to some of the other challenges, personal challenges that you faced in your life. A couple of bouts with cancer and a life-threatening automobile accident that nearly claimed the life of your daughter.
Well, I think having those things happen to me at kind of an early age at least gave me the dividend of having a perspective on things, so that when I had these so-called life and death, or, you know, big money decisions to make at NBC, should I cancel this show, should I move this other show, whatever, that somehow they didn't have the catastrophic implications or proportions that they might have if I didn't really know firsthand life and death situations. I prefer not to have gone through any of the things that happened to me personally, but I'm happy to report that physically I'm in 100% good health, and that my daughter is staging a miraculous and full recovery from the automobile accident that she was in.
You know, I heard you say recently that had the decision been yours, you probably would not have selected Jay Leno to replace Johnny Carson. What would you have done?
At the time that the decision was being made, I was already, you know, Mr. Lame Duck over at NBC. You know, if my pilot development had been very good that spring for the coming year, and of course I wasn't involved with that either, so it's a little hard for me to judge that. But if I was feeling confident about the shows I was going to be putting on the following fall, that yes, I might have taken the, the riskier move of giving David the shot to
David Letterman.
to move up an hour in late night and see what would have happened, because he did have his own audience, so you wouldn't have had to be, asking the Carson viewers to accept somebody else in their format. You would have been just sort of moving the Letterman viewers an hour earlier.
Do you see Jay Leno staying in that position in the long term?
I think, you can't discount either what Jay has done or what Jay will do. He's a terrific comedian, and he's become a very good interviewer.
In the few moments that we have left, let me ask you two quick ones.
Sure.
All-time favorite show that you brought to the small screen?
Certainly Hill Street Blues. It was sort of the seed from which the whole network grew. And from those humble beginnings, it grew into the most honored show in the history of the Emmys for a dramatic television show.
We promised we'd get to the downside of all of this before this
All
interview
right.
ended. So what do you think your biggest mistake was during your years here at NBC?
Supertrain, I think, would have to go down in the annals of television as one giant Edsel of a television show.
Brandon Tartikoff, thank you. The name of the book is The Last Great Ride.
Well, I don't know quite what it means today, but it was certainly a great ride at NBC.
Thanks for joining us this morning. Good to see you.
Thanks.
We'll be back in a moment right after this.